If you think machine learning is something that's only for coders and data scientists, I want you to think again. For the next generation of business leaders, and yeah, that means you, especially if you're pursuing a PGDM, understanding ML isn't just some tech elective anymore. It is your new competitive edge. So let's pull back the curtain and see how you can actually use this powerful tool to your advantage.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll slice through all the buzzwords to see what machine learning really is. Then we'll connect it to actual business value. After that, I'll give you a practical playbook for managing these kinds of projects. We'll map out your path to expertise, and finally, we'll see how it all comes together to give you that critical edge as a manager.
All right, first things first. Let's get past the jargon. Forget the sci-fi movies, forget the complex math for just a minute. When you strip everything else away, machine learning is a practical business tool. And understanding it really starts with one simple question.
We hear these terms thrown around all the time, right? Sometimes it feels like they all mean the same thing. But for a manager, knowing the difference is actually key. It helps you ask the right questions and set the right expectations for your team. So, what is the difference? You know, the easiest way to think about it is like a set of those Russian nesting dolls. Artificial intelligence, or AI, that's the biggest doll. It's the whole idea of smart machines. Now, you open that up, and inside, you've got machine learning, or ML. That's a specific way of achieving AI by teaching computers with data. Then, open that one up, and you find deep learning, which is an even more advanced, specialized type of ML. For our purposes as managers, machine learning is the sweet spot. That's our focus.
So here's a super simple way to think about it. Imagine you want to spot spam emails. Instead of a programmer writing thousands of little if-then rules, you just show the computer thousands of examples of what spam looks like and what a normal email looks like. The machine then learns the patterns and figures out its own rules. It's a total game changer in how we solve problems. In this slide, it just nails that difference. In the old world, we gave the computer data and the rules we wrote, and it spit out answers. With machine learning, we flip that around. We give it the data and the answers we want, and it figures out the rules that connect them. This is what lets ML solve problems that are just way too complex or change too fast for any human to write rules for.
So, how do these machines actually learn? Well, it really boils down to three main ways. First up is supervised learning. Think of it like studying with flashcards that already have the answers on the back. It's fantastic for predicting things, like next quarter's sales. Then there's unsupervised learning. This is like being told to find patterns in a giant library with no catalog. It's perfect for discovering things you didn't know, like new customer segments. And finally, you have reinforcement learning, which is basically like training a dog with treats. It's all about trial and error, and it's how an AI learns to master a game or optimize a supply chain.
Okay, so that's the theory. But as business students, you care about the bottom line, right? So let's talk about how this tech actually goes from being data on a server to dollars in the bank. This is where your PGDM focus really kicks in.
And when we talk about impact, we are talking about huge numbers. The market for predictive analytics, which is powered by machine learning, is on track to blow past $100 billion. For a future manager, ignoring this is kind of like ignoring the invention of the spreadsheet. It is a fundamental shift in how business decisions get made.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. This table connects those learning types we just talked about to real-world business problems. You want to predict if a customer is about to leave you? That's a supervised classification task. You want to automatically group your customers into brand new segments you've never even thought of? That's unsupervised clustering. This right here, this is the language you need to learn to speak to bridge that gap between your tech team and your business goals. And this stuff isn't just theory. We're talking about real hard numbers and serious ROI. Let's take customer churn. A telecom company might use ML and discover that customers who call support late at night about billing issues are 50% more likely to cancel their service, a tiny pattern no human analyst ever saw. Acting on just that one insight can lead to a 20% drop in churn. We see the same thing with a 30% jump in sales efficiency by predicting which leads are ready to buy, or a 35% improvement in budget accuracy. These numbers hit the P&L directly, and as a manager, this is how you justify and measure success. So, you're sold on the value. But how do you actually lead a team to make it happen? See, managing an ML project isn't like managing a typical software project. It's got its own rhythm, its own unique challenges, and it definitely has its own playbook for success.
The life cycle for an ML project is a continuous loop. It always starts with framing the business problem, not the tech problem. Then comes the data, and honestly, this part often takes the most time. You build and train a model, you put it out into the real world, and then, and this is so important, you monitor and maintain it. Models aren't one and done. They can get outdated as the world changes, so they need constant care.
Now, get ready for a pretty shocking number, because this is why great management is so critical. A staggering 80%, 80, of AI and ML projects get stuck. They work in the lab, but they never make it out into the real world to create business value. And here's the thing, that's usually not a failure of the technology. It's a failure of project management, of strategy, and of alignment.
These are the landmines that cause that 80% failure rate. As a manager, your job is to be the one asking the tough questions. Are we solving a real business problem or just a cool tech puzzle? Is our data actually good enough to trust? And hey, have we even thought about who's going to use this thing and how we'll keep it running? Your role is to steer the ship around these icebergs.
Okay, I know this can sound like a lot, maybe a little intimidating, but becoming an ML-savvy leader isn't about you going back to school for a PhD in computer science. It's about developing the right mindset and a really solid practical understanding. So how do you even get started on that path?
The famous AI researcher Andrej Karpathy puts it perfectly. So many people get paralyzed trying to find the perfect online course or the best first project. His advice? Just start doing. The focus should be on the hours you put in, not on finding some mythical right path.
And that idea connects directly to the famous 10,000-hour rule. Expertise isn't some kind of magic. It's just a result of focused, deliberate effort over time. You don't need to become a world-class coder, but the time you spend reading case studies, talking to experts, and just learning the fundamentals, that time will compound. It makes becoming an expert feel achievable, not just a matter of luck.
So here's your personal development plan, made simple. 1. Log the hours. Just put in the time. 2. Pick a path and start walking. You can always change direction later. 3. Make mistakes. They build what he calls scar tissue, which is really just another word for intuition. And 4. The only person you should be competing with is who you were yesterday. All right, let's bring this all home. What does this all mean for your career after you finish your PGDM? What is the ultimate advantage of becoming this new kind of leader? It's really about defining the future of what a manager even is.
This quote from McKinsey just says it all. Your job is not going to be replaced by a machine. The future isn't humans versus machines, it's humans with machines. Your role as a manager is evolving. You're becoming the translator, the person who guides the technology, who interprets what it's telling you, and who directs that powerful collaboration to solve real business problems. That is your edge.
So, we'll leave you with this one last thought. Your journey to becoming an ML-savvy leader, the kind of manager who is going to thrive in this new world, it doesn't have to start next week or next month. It can start right now. The path isn't about some giant leap. It's about that very first small step. So the question is, what will you do in your first hour?